What's going on? What's going on? This is Jonathan. Welcome to my first vlog / podcast, whatever you want to call it. I'm talking about my blog, Black People Must Be Perfect, Part 1. This is off my blog site. I just started a little while ago. I'm just building it up. You can find my blog site at blackinamerica.com. You replace the C with the K in America, and that will be where you can find my blog piece at. Got a couple on there. I'm at about 4 right now. I'm working on my 5th one and my 6th one. So today's show, I got 2 guests with me. Both of them are close friends of mine. They're both intellectual. We think alike, but we also think differently. For my co-host, I got my man Blair. And for my first guest, I have my close friend DiShawn. And, I picked these 2 guys for a reason. So, Blair, why I pick you as my co-host?
I don't know. You tell me.
I know you for, 20-some years now? 21, 22 years? Yeah. Been through a lot.
Yeah.
And,
a lot of road trips.
Definitely. And you're one of the only people I can have really deep conversations about, issues in Black America or just Black people in the world, period.
Okay.
And at the same time, we think alike, we think differently. And I need that balance. Mm-hmm. I need that balance. I don't want no yes man. You've never been a yes man.
Right.
But at the same time, you see me, but at the same time, you can disagree with me, but we still gonna end up on the same path at the end of the day.
Disagreement is necessary.
Yeah. Right. So that's why you're my co-host. That's why you're my co-host.
I mess with that. Now, what I want to ask you is why the blog and the vlog? Why?
So, in this day and age, everybody's on social media. And I think it's a little disappointing and crazy that some of the people that have the largest followings don't be talking about anything.
True.
They don't really have the knowledge on certain subjects, but for some reason people actually listen to them and follow them. And then when I speak sometimes on social media, when I make my little comments on posts or just debating people and just in live, real life, people come at you with all kind of just information that's not accurate or that's doesn't sound good or just something just to their false reality somehow they're gonna make reality.
Right.
And I just got tired. It was too much energy for me to just keep battling people about what is what and what isn't. And I read books, stuff I often discuss. I've known for a long time. I studied for a long time, so I'm not just speaking just because. So I just got tired of arguing with people about the stuff that's not it's like you just arguing people that watch Fox News all day.
Right.
And me, I study. Mm-hmm. I'm an educated person. I don't know it all, but I know enough.
Right.
And I felt the blog was a way to just not only educate people, but if you want to have a healthy debate with me, you're going to actually come at me with some substance. Right. Because you're not just going to type anything on a blog site, or you're not just going to send me anything because you're I seen what this guy said. Mm-hmm. I might not. You don't have to agree with everything I said. I don't want people to agree with everything I said if you don't feel like it. Right. But at the same time, you're going to be yo, he wrote a lot. It seemed pretty accurate. He had some facts in there. So I need to come back at him with some substance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when people have to start doing that, they don't necessarily come at you as quickly as they would as if it's Facebook, you say something, they say something. Right. You say something, they say something. Or you arguing and you over talking each other. So other than I did want it to be educational too. I didn't just want it to be somebody find something wrong with what I said, just debate me. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people just don't know. A lot of people just want to be educated at the end of the day. Right. A lot of people just don't want to always debate you. Some people out there is thirsty for that knowledge.
Exactly. Just looking to learn.
Right. So that was the main reason I decided to start the blog. And why I'm doing this is because, unfortunately, a lot of people don't like to read. So at the same time, and I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like I can still reach them. Mm-hmm. I can still reach them like this. Yeah. And it's unique because it's going to be different people talking about the same piece. Right. So it's going to be different angles that people are going to be able to see. And that's why I decided to do the vlog on top of the vlog.
All right. Next question. Why pick DiShawn as your first guest?
It's easy answer. DiShawn is highly intellectual. DiShawn is a director. He's a very, very talented actor. He's a producer. He's a musician, a pastor. I mean, he's an all-around talented, intellectual person.
Yeah.
why wouldn't I pick him? And on top of that, he wrote a very, very good play, American Tree. And it spoke about racism. And what I like about DiShawn and why I feel like he could be a balance for both of us is that he knows how to speak about racism in a way that is without so much feelings in it. And I don't know if you may take that negative, but a lot of times when we may speak about racism or race in America, a lot of us get really emotional, passionate. But I like you as the balance, because if somebody get lost with me and Blair, they're going to follow you. They're going to follow you. They might need a dictionary to follow you, but they're definitely going to follow you. They're definitely going to follow you. Me and Blair, we get passionate, you know, and we start getting like talking sometimes like out there, like people like, yo, what's going on with them two? But he would definitely, he'll bring us back.
More balance.
Right. Yeah. He's going to definitely reach people that's like, I don't got Urban Dictionary. Let me listen to what DiShawn Gandy said. Not saying you can't speak Urban Dictionary too, but your English, the words, you had to score 800 in SATs. Well, back in the day, it was 1,600 for us. So anybody younger, the 1,600 is the highest they went back in the day. Yeah, right. 800 was perfect. So he probably got 800 on the English part. But no, this is why I had to pick DiShawn.
Copy that.
That's why I had to pick DiShawn. He's definitely going to be like, I just believe in balance. I don't believe in having yes people. And DiShawn is also not a yes person. So it's so much, I felt like different angles. There's agreements among us, a lot of agreements among us, but at the same time, there might be minor disagreements or big disagreements. But at the end of the day, we're going to know what we're all on the same page about racial issues in America and race in America. So, and I'm sorry, and I just want to give you an opportunity because, like I just said, you do a lot. So I want to give you an opportunity. You just started your own blog. So please, promo yourself.
Well, I just started, as Jonathan just said, I just started my own blog. They live on a website that I just started, myancestrychronicles.com. And it's called Front Porch Stories, The Recipe of Me. And just talking about my journey of discovery as a genealogist and as a family history, and just how that was even peaked. Sitting on front porches with my great-grandparents and my grandparents with a potbelly stove out there sometime in the wintertime, and just the stories they would tell.
In the South.
In the South. And up here in Jersey, too.
Oh, okay.
And just the stories that they would tell of their parents, of their childhood, of their grandparents, and all that just piqued my interest. So, just that journey of discovery of who I am and why I am who I am, and just to inspire others to join on that discovery, that journey of discovering, oneself too, the recipe that makes an individual who he is, and who we are together, because it's not just individually, but collectively. Right. So that's kind of the stuff I talk about.
Where can they find your blog at?
On myancestrychronicles.com.
All right.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, let's get to the bone gristle. Let's get to the gristle.
Let's do it.
Black people need to be perfect.
Part one.
What was your take, DiShawn?
Well, it was really good. I enjoyed it. I read part one and part two, and I read part one. I must have read it about 3 times within the last couple of weeks, just because there was so much in there. And when I saw the title, my initial reaction was, why do we have to be perfect? Why are we putting that pressure on ourselves? Shouldn't that onus be on society and on white people? Why do we put that pressure on ourselves to feel that we have to be perfect? So I was from that standpoint when I went into the article, and then just reading the article, it was just so genuine, so real, that it put me, it kind of put me in the place where I am. And it opened up my eyes to see, well, you know why you have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. This is, unless there's a great paradigm shift, this is where you are. This is where you live, and this is how you have to survive.
Yes.
So, and some of the things that you brought out, in the article was really good, and it made me move from just seeing that, because I always grew up hearing, black people have to be twice as better as white people, and for a long time you hear it so much it becomes just a platitude. But reading the article, it was more than just a platitude. I mean, that phrase is more than just just some kind of moral phrasing, that we give out, and it's been given out so many times that it kind of, weakens itself. It's still strong, it's still powerful, and it's still truthful, and I just like some of the things that you brought out. One of the things that really is when you make certain statements, and then you throw the statements out there to the audience. You say, just take a minute and think about it. And I think that's really good, because I think sometimes we hear things and we already have, these canned responses, and we want to go right into those canned responses. But if you just, some of the objections that you bring up, some of the realities that you bring up, if you just stop and just think about it, it's like, wow, it's true. One of them you were talking about where black people are judged, by one black person's actions. Society judges all black people, as if black people are a monolith, as if this is, if one black person is in the store cursing out, a salesperson, that's what all black people do. That's all black people. All black people go into the store. If they don't get their way, they're going to curse you out, and it's just like, man, come on, so just those kind of things, that you brought out, it's just truisms, and it just made me think, All
right.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was. I wanted to be deep. I didn't want it to be complicated, but I wanted it to be deep. And I'm glad you were able to see a lot of that and connect a lot of that. Because when I write that, I don't want people to miss that.
Right.
I don't want people to miss that, and I'm glad you were able to connect that.
Right.
So. What about you, Blair? What did you get out of it? What did you think about it?
Now, my answer may be a little bit different, but I had a chance to dig through it a bit this morning, and as I'm reading it, and I read all 4 posts, and I'm thinking to myself, this is very necessary, everything you're saying, but not as a slight, and catch me on this. I thought it was typical, and I say typical because it's stuff that we've been going through, like 47. So it's you're speaking to the choir on this one. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the points that you bring up didn't really hit me in so much in so much to say that it's normal. It's everyday life. You're telling me everything that I already know. Now, for an audience that might be digesting it, you bring a breath of fresh air. And it's necessary, but you don't bring it in a way that's it's abrasive. You bring it in, you hammer it home, but it's easy for outside people to pick it up. We had a conversation a week ago or so, and you mentioned that the people you're getting a lot of responses from people across the U.S. and some outside of the U.S. And I feel like that's where it's needed, because a lot of people look at us, like we said, we don't act as a monolith, and because of that, people have to how do I articulate this? We're not all a monolith. We're not all angry in the store. We're not all, cursing people out, things of that nature. So they have to come see the opposite side. They have to see the intellectual side. They have to see the militant side, but they have to see it in a way where we soften the blow in order for you to digest what we're going to tell you, so you can understand, come into our world, understand where we're coming from, where we don't look like the angry person, the belligerent person.
Oh, can you do us a favor then? Can you define what you put in the article in terms of black people need to be perfect?
So basically, you touch upon like one of the key points I was speaking about in the article, when you said, if one black person goes in the store and curses somebody out, you ever been embarrassed for other people?
Yeah.
So I don't know if other different groups of or different race of people are necessarily embarrassed for other people like we are.
Right.
Because we understand that we are a reflection of all of us.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to say that because, and to go to your point, this piece, Black. That's why I wrote Black People Must Be Perfect Part 1 and a Part 2. Part 1 is particularly for non-Black people.
Yeah.
Part 2 is for us.
Yes.
Part 2 is for us.
Yes, I can see that.
But getting back to Part 1, it's for people to understand their thought about how they view us. And it's crazy because we hear like you can have 10 of us walking down the street, and then two out of 10 of us is sagging. The only ones they will see more than likely is the ones that sagging.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said this to go back a little bit, is that I feel the pressure is on non-Black people to justify us going what we're going through by identifying those outliers. It's like you can just be doing something well. You be around 100 Black people, everybody doing something well. Then you just meet 10. And all of a sudden it's like, see, that's why they can't get this. That's why they can't do that.
So Black people needing to be perfect is the majority of Black people or Black people as a whole needing to overcompensate for those Black people who are not meeting the standard of white people, the social norms.
Yep.
You know, so okay, yeah. I mean, even when I watch the news, my wife and I were sitting there and we're watching the news, and something happens,
Say,
and we're going, "Oh my God!
I hope they're not Black.
I hope they're not Black.
I hope they're not Black."
Because it's not just that Black person. It's not just that person on that news broadcast who did that particular crime or that thing.
Yeah.
It's like if he's Black, he's all of us.
Yeah. And then you're gonna hear people say, look, they're gonna use that one example, even though it may come on TV a couple of times a night to different Black people. I feel people can't wait to be like, boom. Yeah. They out here robbing people.
Yeah.
They out here shooting people.
Right.
It's the Black on Black crime thing that it goes back to.
Yeah. So when you go to work, you have to whatever last night news showed.
Right.
You need to go to work and you need to show them that that's not me.
Right.
You know,
and so, pressure.
Yeah, so that's pressure. And to address what Blair was saying, I felt that I needed that first article because some way, somehow, I had kind of shifted from that.
Right.
Which you said, which was like, preaching to the choir. For you, I need to be reminded of that. Like, you said it was written for the non-Black. Right. And somehow I fell into that category where I needed to hear that.
Okay.
Which is interesting because I'm just like, well, DiShawn is woke. But yet DiShawn wasn't that woke because I needed that article, which was written for non-Blacks. Like I needed to be reminded. I need to be refreshed of I mean, and
we operate like robots because
that's what I think it is, man.
We're numb to the situation now. Yeah. Like I said, it's old. It's like it's something that we've lived all our lives,
and we're constantly told it, but it becomes a norm. So, like you're saying, when we were growing up, Black people got to work twice as hard. To us, that means nothing. Yeah. Like at this point in our lives, that means nothing. That just, that's what we do. Right. Yeah. So I can see why you would think like everything's like you gotta be mindful of how you speak when you go to certain environments because that's just how we do.
That's how we do.
Dressing when you dress a certain way, depending on what environment you're in.
Code switch.
Right. Thank you. Code switching. That's just automatically what we do. So it becomes to him preaching to the choir, but to you, it was both for me. Right. But it also did remind me, like every once in a while, like yo, like I can't believe I'm conforming. You start like you conform. Yeah. You conform. So even though you're preaching to the choir, to your point, I didn't realize I was conforming to this. Right. Or I can't believe this is just everyday thing for me now. Like, at what point did this happen? Even though I know better, even though I want to do different, when I call to somebody, I might be like, yo, I gotta call somebody. Hold on. Hi, yes, this is Jonathan. I'm calling about this issue I'm having. So at the same time, I'm like, wait, why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Because there's a reason. Because the tendency is, if that person on the other end of the line is for the most part, if he or she is not a black person, we feel because of history that I'm going to be judged some way. I'm going to be judged because they're going to know the tone of my voice, that, oh, he's black. They're going to know by my name, he's black. And if he or she is black, then he or she is somehow less than.
Right. Yeah. I was waiting for you to say that. Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
They get snippy with you on the phone.
Yeah. They're going to think you less than. They're going to think you less than. So you have to carry yourself in a manner that presents to them that I am not one of them. I am not that ghetto person. I'm intelligent. I have a college degree. So I'm going to talk to you like this because I need you to take me seriously and I need you to separate me from that ghetto trash. Like, I mean, I'm just saying what a lot of us are thinking in our head when we're talking like that. We're not saying that, but in our head, that's what our brain is saying.
How many times in my head have I made that call and be like, thank God my name is Blair?
Anthony.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can get away with that. I can smooth roll into the conversation, and then I don't sound threatening at all.
Yes.
What about you, DiShawn? Because your name's DiShawn.
Yeah. I have no way around it with my name. And to be honest with you, if you know,
feel the pressure to like not prove you're DiShawn. Do you have the pressure of proving? Because if somebody,
I have the pressure of proving that I'm not who you think a DiShawn is.
Mm-hmm. But how we know that's not, all the other DiShawns is DiShawn, but why am I thinking it's just you? Like, what am I thinking?
That's the conundrum, bro. Like, that's the struggle. That's the everyday struggle where sometimes you wake up and you go, you know what? Why gotta be on us? Why we always gotta feel that pressure of trying to figure out how you trying to figure me out so I'll know how to adjust, so I won't be offensive. So, so it's like you're...
Even though you're offended.
Yeah.
Even though you're offended, you got to worry about them being offended.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Look at the gymnastics that we have to go through on a daily basis, and we just do it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And we still aren't seen in a favorable light.
No.
We still, and I didn't mean to cut you off because I know you was actually getting deep into it. You was getting excited. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I get it. Like you don't want them to think like all DiShawns are like the DiShawn they may have in their head.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you can just be, oh, that's that one DiShawn I met.
Right.
But the next time I meet a DiShawn, I'm not going to still think, oh, because I met DiShawn who was polite, articulate, that this DiShawn is going to be the same. So is there a point of really trying to prove you're not the DiShawns? Is there a point of proving that? Because you're trying to be perfect.
You're trying to be perfect. And I think that where it brings me to sometimes is me trying to be perfect. And this is the line. This is that...
Walk us through your frustration.
This is that nebulous watermark. Me trying to be perfect, am I saying that it's not okay to be black? And not my definition of black, but your definition of black. But why do why do you have the privilege to define what black is? You know what I mean? So it's always like, it's always this unraveling of yourself, of who you are. And it doesn't stop. And it's just like, my God, can I just catch my breath for a minute?
Right.
And just be me?
Right.
And why does me having to be me have to be something that's offensive to you? And it's not even a real me that you have in your head. It's a straw man. It's you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's whatever stereotype that media, the news, whatever society has generated about black people as a whole.
Right.
Like the black ethnic notions, that they had, back in the day with the little.
For the audience who don't know, expand on that.
Those little things that they had. Where you see like the little figurines, and it was like a black guy,
eating watermelon or big lips.
Eating a watermelon, big lips. The black guy standing out there in a jockey suit, holding the light on somebody's front lawn and whatnot, stuff like that. Those were subservient roles or stereotypical roles, and they became a way of creating this notion in society's mind of who black people were.
Right.
This is what that ethnic group is. They're this, they're that, So we weren't allowed to define ourselves. So even trying to be perfect, It's like,
doesn't matter.
whose definition am I trying to be perfect for?
Right.
Me or you? You know?
Dang, okay. I didn't even look at that. I didn't even look at it like that. Who you trying to be perfect for?
So it's crazy pressure, man. And that's why sometimes I feel like, you know what? Enough is enough. The onus is on you. But then in this society, like it's only so far you're going to get because we're not the powers that be.
We're conditioned to play in the game.
Right. Because that's the only game there is to play.
Right.
Sometimes, you know.
No, you're right. At the end of the day, we have to connect with them at some point.
Right.
But non-black people, we got to connect with them at some point. Yeah. But Blair, let me ask you a question. Curious to pick your brain about this. So I started it off, and I touched upon the black on black crime because I honestly believe that non-black people in America, for the most part, know that racism is real. It's there. And I honestly feel that most people in America, even though they admit it, know black people get treated the worst. And sometimes they will indirectly let you know that.
Right.
But even though a lot of people will try to sometimes say that, everybody faces discrimination, everybody faces this and that, I honestly feel most people know black people get treated the worst in America. In the world, period. But in America, and they will use the excuse, so when something happens, like a black man is killed, an unarmed black man is killed by the police, they will say, oh, what about black on black crime? And bring up Chicago. Because, everybody's always talking about Chicago shootings and whatnot, like every black person lives in Chicago, but they'll bring up Chicago.
Yeah.
So how do you separate basically, or let me ask this, do you even agree that people do that so they sleep better at night? So they won't have to acknowledge like, yo, black people do deserve better. Maybe I am hard on black people myself. Maybe collectively black people do need reparations. They do need some type of fair game by the government or independent companies. Do you think that people kind of put those things out there, those things that happen to us that's pushed, but that's not the majority of us? The black on black crime, which studies show that every race commits crime within their race.
The vicinity. People inflict harm on the people that they live closest to.
Because of segregation.
And to answer your question, hell yeah. Because I think that it's a narrative that they have to feed. Because I think there's an agenda. And so in order to feed upon that agenda, whatever that may be, like I don't want to name it because it's deeper than rap. But there's an agenda to like get people going. So yeah, they have to tell each other that black on black crime exists in order to deal with us accordingly. Jane Elliott proved with her experiments that white folks and all other folks know that racism is apparent, especially in America, because there was she does the the eye test, the brown eye test, where basically to break it down in layman's terms, where the white kids are separated from the melanin kids, and because they have the blue eyes and all of that stuff, she treats them in the same manner that we're treated in society every day. And so one of her lectures I caught, she had everybody in the auditorium, and she basically asked, if one of you guys had to be black for a day, who would? And no one raised their hands. You know what I'm saying? But, they'll do it because, and they're cool with it in that moment because it's only a moment. So, they get after everything is done, after the experiment's done, okay, we went through that. That was a cool experience. They hop in their car and they go back to their regular lives. So, yeah, it's an agenda. And so, therefore, they have to have that narrative in order to sleep at night.
Push the agenda.
Peacefully, yes. And go back to business the next day.
So when you immediately read that, you got where I was going with it.
Totally.
Okay.
Totally.
I just want to make
sure.
Every
time we turn on the news, like they have to put that in there. Like, you're watching the news every night, like we were saying earlier. When something happens, you hope he's not black. And if he is black, they're gonna tell you, they're gonna show you the mugshot. Like, they have to figure it out. They have to investigate. And then it's not a black person.
And then to
investigate.
Right, and to take a step further, even when the black person dies, because
and they're gonna paint you up like, you didn't pay child support.
Right, they're gonna take it to your past.
I got pulled over in New York I used to drive for Uber, and I got pulled over in New York and Brooklyn late night, and we were talking about this in the car. And the first thing I thought about was like, yo, I put on Facebook like, yo, if I die tonight, it's because I got pulled over. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's always a narrative, and yeah.
So even if you was to die, like even if you were to die, like for example, like George Floyd, like these men who were unarmed, killed by the police, they dig their past and you know, sticking to what you're saying about the gender. Not sure if I know exactly what your gender you're talking about, but I think I do.
Yeah.
Or somewhat. It makes you look less human.
Yeah.
So it's like even if you died and you didn't deserve to die, it's like, well, we'll find this and that to say that, well, if they had this past, maybe this would have happened. This person died, but look what they did in the past. It's like, dang, so you have to be perfect? Like, you can't have nothing? Like, I got to have a perfect life, so if I get killed by the police, they can say, like, well, okay, you know what? He has no dirt on him, so maybe he didn't deserve this.
Right. And that's the deeper thing that I was alluding to. Like, it's the propaganda of it. Like, they have to play with the psychology. Like, you know, you could be, you know, and I'm thinking in my head while I'm pulled over, like, yo, my past is squeaky clean. I ain't got nothing on my record. Like, all of this stuff is racing through my head. They have to play with the psychology of the people that are watching in order for them to feel good about, okay, that happened. People, some might boo-hoo, some might, you know, yeah, he deserved it. But in order to return to business the next day, they have to feed that narrative.
Minimize your character.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then the question becomes, what happens? I mean, because this is the agenda of propaganda. What happens when that narrative gets assumed in some degree by black people? Will we start looking at other black people? So, in other words, I'm asking, the pressure of needing to be perfect is not only coming from them or outside, you know, forces, you know, outside subgroups, but it's also coming from within us, you know, and there's two parts to that. There's two parts to that because we know that we're not who you are, so we put the pressure upon ourselves to be better, to kind of change your image of us. But then sometimes that narrative that they hold of us, we assume enough of it to where we go, yeah, that black dude deserved that, man. He should have been better than that.
For me, that kind of that operates differently. Like some we know some of the dirt in house. So you know. Not to say that some people deserve what they're getting, like absolutely not. But you kind of know if this person right here, and you know he's dirt, whatever he's doing, there might have been a situation where it might have, you know, it happened to him because it might have played out that way, as opposed to like, you know, oh, accidentally I'm nervous right now, so I'm pulling out my gun, shoot you 6 times, like, you know, where they do that at. But yeah, we as a people, we can understand the dirt that goes on in house, but we don't display that outside. Like,
I mean, well, I guess that what I'm trying to ask is that because all black people don't think alike,
right?
We could bring another black person and have him be a part of this discussion, and his standpoint could be, well, black people, why don't you all just get your stuff together?
Right.
Just get yourselves together, you know, and that's why we need to be perfect, because we're trying to overcompensate for all of you Negroes, right, you know, who aren't on the up and up, and you need to get yourself together.
You actually, those fools have been conditioned.
You're actually talking about part 2. Part two actually focuses on
exactly
part 2. But you're right on the money about that. But let me lead into this, because it's been something that's really been bothering me for a while. And at this point, everybody in America knows about the term Karen. And for anybody who just, for some reason, don't know what Karen is,
Karen, Karen.
Yes. That is a term that, at this point, has been picked up by Americans as a white woman who is being extra or being caught being racist, using derogatory terms towards a black person or a Latina person, Latino communities, Asian communities. That's the term that they're giving white women. But I'm really bothered by this. And I briefly spoke about this in my blog. And why I'm bothered about it is because it's a reverse of what we just spoke about. So I would say, since Donald Trump, let's just go, just to keep it fair, because I know how some people feel about Obama. Some people love Obama, so they might not hear what I'm trying to say. So I know a lot of people not too crazy about Donald Trump, but he did get a lot of votes. But I'm going to say, because everybody said they saw more racism as Donald Trump was in office, I'm going to say, let's think about how many clips came out on social media, in the news, about these Karens that just been going crazy on people in public. It's been a bunch, right? But how come that is accepted as just only those white women are like that? How come they get identified as Karens as not just as those white women, or these white women are behaving in a certain manner? As I stated in my blog, majority of white women voted for Trump.
Right.
Why? You know what? Why? We can debate all day the real reason why, but many of us feel because he promoted a racist agenda. The reverse. So for me, I'm bothered by it because it goes back to what we were saying earlier. So one black person does something, they're gonna be like, look, see, that's how they are. One black person says something, one black person messes up at the job, two black people mess up at the job, but there's 30 black people working there. Those 10% are gonna be like, yo, they're lazy. You know, like they won't acknowledge the other ones. And even if they do have the other ones that work hard, they'll be like, but she got an attitude. Right. She got an attitude. Oh, he has a deep voice. He walks like he's trying to intimidate people. So even if there are some, they'll still find something.
Yeah.
And people can disagree with me, that's fine, but this is our reality.
That's because they're looking for something.
This is our reality, right? So to get back to my point, I feel some type of way because, and this goes to several white men who open up fire in public places and kill several people all at one time. Oklahoma City bombing. Before 9/11, that was like the biggest terrorist act in America before 9/11.
Yeah.
And my thing is I get frustrated, but I'm going to focus more on the Karen because there's a name for that. There's no name right now that I know of for white men who commit domestic violence. Mm-hmm. But for everybody being on the same page.
Patriot.
Huh?
Patriot.
Yeah. Oh, I learned something new. Okay, look.
Well, I mean,
that's the term that's being thrown around now.
Y'all both said it. So okay,
that's in the news now. They're called Patriots.
That Bundy shit. Yeah.
Oh, look. Okay, so boom, we got the Karens, we got the Patriots. Boom. Why do they get a separate category when we see the actions of them over and over and over and over again? I feel like it's saying, no, wait, please, not all white people are like that. And I'm not saying all people are not all white people are like any type of way.
Right.
But my point is that they say when a couple black people do something, they're all like that.
Right.
That's how all the communities are.
That jumps with the narrative. But
it's the opposite when it comes to white people.
Right.
That's just, no, those are Karens.
Yeah.
Those are, what is your, any one of y'all can answer, what is y'all like, it bothers me. It bothers me because it just, to me, blatantly shows the racism. And I don't think people consciously are aware of what they do when they say, oh, that's Karen, look at Karen. But they say, look at that nigga.
Right.
Look at that community. Yeah. Look at all of them.
Right.
And I won't even factor in how much we've fought just to get the little bit we have, and how others have things just given to them, presented to them.
Yeah.
And once again, for the audience who are going to disagree on who's just stuff given, through history, there's been plenty of government act. There been plenty of policies, legislative acts, everything that help a lot of people in this country, and I say white people in this country, to get to where they are. It's factual information. Look it up.
Yeah.
Redlining, the New Deal Act,
Right.
World War. Oh my God, I can't talk. The GI Bill, all of that stuff. So anyhow, so back to what I'm saying. So we deal with stuff and we still don't get it passed. So talk to me about, like, what is y'all take on that?
Well, it's like it feeds back into what I was saying before. It's the narrative, the fact that they control the media, so they can say what they want about us and they can say what they want about theirs.
Right, but why do we get sucked up to that? Why are we not saying that's not Karen? Stop calling her Karen. That's a white woman being racist. And as we constantly have been seeing on social media for the past 3, 4, 5 years,
Right.
why are we not set? So even black people, I feel, are going with it. We're laughing. Black people are like, oh, look at that Karen. Yo, we got a Karen. Yo, put Karen on social media. Karen about to lose her job. Like, we feed into that. So do we even notice ourselves that we are saying, like, kind of go back to what you're
I don't
saying?
think we notice it. No, I don't think we notice it. And somehow, like, that's the thing that I'm saying, where somehow that narrative has been bought by us. Some elements of it has been, we've assumed it, and and that's the agenda of propaganda, of psychological warfare, is that kind of stuff, that gets somehow ingrained into a people where you're able to do those kind of things, instead of offsetting that and saying, you know what, here's the real deal. When Karen did that, we could have easily said, as black people, we could have easily said, see, that's how all white women act. But we don't do that.
Right.
And we don't do that. And I hope you see and you approve of how just and fair that is. So why can't we get that same just and fair treatment? It's just one of those things where,
Wow. I honestly, I never really thought about it like that. I'm dead serious. Maybe I thought of something similar, but that last part, I don't really think I ever thought about, like, why don't y'all? Wow, yeah, I don't. Wow,
but that's the part of me that sometimes says, enough is enough. I'm tired of playing this game for y'all. I'm tired of hopping on one foot. I'm tired of Simon Says and stuff like that. No, the onus is no longer on me. Today I'm waking up and I'm just being me. The onus is on you. But it goes back to, how far is that going to get you in America?
Right.
In fact, in the world.
right.
How far is that going to get you? So it's kind of like this that we live in.
It's a cold game. It's a dirty game.
Yeah.
Man.
So at this point, like, what needs to be done in order to sort of like break that black people got to be perfect? Like what needs to be done?
As a man that's all about solutions, Joe, I can honestly say right now, I don't know. That has to be thought about.
Let's say next 10 years.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody comes to us. Let's say Biden, right? He comes to us and he says, guys, I'm trying to, work on this issue in America, the racism. And I need to know, like, I understand where you're coming from about feeling the need to be perfect. And I want to, like, somehow try to fix this issue. What do you suggest within the next 10 years can change the image of people so that you don't feel the pressure of having to be perfect all the time? Like, what would you say? And forget Biden. It's just somebody, make believe somebody
I
said, like, gave you one mic for the whole world to hear.
Well, I often give this answer to that kind of question, or that kind of a question that's more often than not has come to me. And I really, black people for the most part do not like the answer that I give. But, I'm still thinking through the answer myself. So I'm not, placing my flag there, but it can't be legislated. The solution to the problem is not in legislation. It's in. Here's the problem that people have with me. It's in the people's hearts need to be changed. So then the question becomes, how do you change people's hearts? And that just takes me into a whole different direction as a pastor that we're not going to get into in this platform. But because at the end, so in other words, at the end of the day, I'm saying I don't think it'll change. I don't think it'll change in as much as it will be completely done away with.
So you're saying, like, even our grandkids and great grandkids are going to still be perfect?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It may look different. It may be painted a different color, but it's at the end of the day, it's going to be the same type of thing. It just always manifests itself differently. And I think that's one of the things that I tried to bring out in the play that I did an American Tree, with showing this 2-generation family and how one was in slavery and then emancipated, and the second generation was born free and now is going, and went through Reconstruction, but now is entering into Jim Crow, and they just have two different ways of looking at the same system by the same people, because the same people who held them in slavery 12 years later were after they were emancipated, were the same people who said, all right, let's just do it differently now. Instead of calling it slavery, let's just call it Jim Crow. They called it a different name, but it's the same thing. It's the same game. But we're trying to figure out how to jump rope to it. Is it double Dutch, or is it, are they turning inward, or are they turning, outward? Bro, it's still double Dutch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So.
But what about you, Blair? Well, if somebody gave you a mic and said, tell the world what needs to be done so this can change, what would...
I mean, I stick to the same answers. It's about the media presence. It's like, give us an open mic more to be honest and how we have to express with each other. I feel a lot of the stuff I see on TV is chosen and picked to be on TV, and everything that is said is selected. So yeah, you have to give us the platform to be unapologetically us and not be afraid of what comes out and not be afraid of the messaging that we're extending to everybody else. If you're gonna talk about that, and then on top of that, reparation, bro, we need some money.
Economic justice.
Ain't
no social justice without economic justice.
You know what? Here's a quick. I don't know if we got time.
Nah, go
I
ahead.
just had a quick question.
Yeah.
So if we did that, does that create some kind of polarity? Like, okay, because
wait, if you said what exactly you talking about?
Like I'm sorry,
the
when
media?
you said when you said that we need a greater voice.
Yeah.
Black people need a greater voice to be ourselves.
Right.
Okay, so let's say that we have that platform to have that greater voice to be ourselves. Does that change the way non-black people look at us? It can, but overall, it's not.
Right.
So now we're just going to have these two different views. Like two opposite sides. The football field, where one is standing on that side saying, well, this is what we think about you. And then we're on this side of the football field going, well, this is what we think about ourselves. And never the twain shall meet.
Right.
It's just like, so I'm not even sure. I mean, this is just you and me just kicking. I'm not even sure if having a greater platform is going to solve the problem.
It might not, but it has to start somewhere. That's just the way I see it. I can see it as like somewhere 10 years down the road, but in the process of all of that, it has to start somewhere. And I think by us speaking and us being able to relay messages to each other, that's a good starting point, because I can't think of any other logical.
I think it's needed. It's definitely needed.
I'm actually shocked, because I would think that you would be the optimistic one, and I would think you would be the pessimistic one. So I'm kind of shocked right now. I mean, it's cool. Like, I'm just like what's going on? Like, two different answers. Like, wow. But let me just say, like, to your point, I'm in agreement with. I think we need way more control of our media, of what we present to the world, which is one of the reasons I know for a fact me and you decided to get more heavy in the game when it came to acting, writing the plays, being in certain plays, because we know that it's not easy to get a play that really speaks for us and to us. We know that for a fact. So. But at the same time, I'm not sure if I'm taking part of what you're saying. I feel like we have to speak. We have to make sure that we know first.
Okay.
I think we have to address
knowledge of self and kind. I feel you on that.
Yeah.
I feel you on that.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's foundational, and that's missing.
I would speak kind of like when I lie to you not. I would picture it like if I had a mic, I could talk to the world. I would do like I'm doing my blog.
Right.
I'm writing more or less like what a lot of us feel every day, what we go through every day, what we want to say, we don't say, all that stuff, our history. I'll be speaking primarily to us, but other people will be listening.
Right.
Other people will be listening. But, and I think that will improve our image, but I'm with you to an extent. because at the end of the day, and I kind of like ended my blog like this, I'm going to kind of end it here too. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, it wasn't even planned what both of y'all saying, but it's kind of like bringing to the end when how my blog ended. I don't think at the end of the day we could do whatever we are supposed to do, and nothing will really change. And if it does change, it's only going to go so far. So it's crazy that y'all kind of both said what I'm thinking and kind of how my blog ended. Mm-hmm. Because unless we do everything perfectly like everybody wants, we're still going to go through I feel like we're still going to do the same thing. Right. It'll be less.
Right.
It'll be less. I will agree it will be less. But I agree it will never go away. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the joke of my blog too. Because I write into you saying like,
right.
like how y'all view us, how it really is for us. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually kind of giving suggestions in there a little bit, giving examples like when I brought in the football coaches who went to the Super Bowl, who was going to playoffs but still got fired.
Right.
I brought that in to say, but guess what? Because they can still take you, they might not win it, but they can take you to the promised land, and you still want to say, not good enough.
Exactly.
And I'll hire a coach that's less qualified than you to replace you.
Yeah.
So it definitely was a way to bring this to a closing. It definitely was a way to bring it to the closing. And I want to thank both of y'all for being here.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
It was great. It was great. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, man.
No, this was dope.
Appreciate you.
It means a lot to me, especially being it's my first recorded one.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I had another one recorded, and I gotta take the L. Since I'm not so savvy with technology, I gotta shout out Miss Jones for working with me about 3 times, and still we couldn't get it together. So that technically was my first one. This is going to be my first like actual one that's going to probably get put out there. So it's definitely special. I appreciate it. Thank both of you.
Thank you for having me.
And I think I proved what I said at the beginning about your character, how you think, how we're all different. And at the end, I think it was just perfect how it came together. Like, we might not have seen eye to eye, but at the end of the day, we all said the same thing. Like, we both acknowledged what's there. We might have different ways of looking at it, but at the end of the day, we pretty much know, like, what it is.
And you know this discussion is going to continue with us when the cameras stop rolling.
Yes, and it has to.
If not in this studio space, because Noble, our gracious host, he may be saying, well, you don't got to leave New Jersey, but you got to get out of here. But it's one of those conversations where, the camera start rolling, it's still going to be going.
Behind the scenes. If I had longer money, we'd do behind the scenes. But Noble, man, he a millionaire, so,
behind the scenes is coming. Don't even trip.
He get quality, so,
Shout out to Noble.
Yes, yeah. But, thank you. So, soon it will be Black People Must Be Perfect Part 2. That's my other blog. Hopefully I can go back and get my first blog. I forgot the name of my first blog. Oh, man. Wow.
It's all good.
It's mine, though. Focus on reparations. So hopefully I get that eventually on video. But like I said, go to my blog site, Black in America. Replace that C with the K in America.com. My name is Jonathan T. And follow me on Instagram. It's nothing 9. It's nothing 9 on Instagram. And I'm also on Twitter, JTrav9. So feel free to follow me, and I'll definitely follow you back. And also, yes, I'm also putting together my YouTube channel. So you're going to catch several of my audio and video sessions on YouTube as well. And when I get that channel set up, I'll also put that address on social media so you can follow. All right. Thank you for joining, and please follow next time.